I wanted the shop to have a name when I opened it rather than just calling it Ed Hardy's or something. I knew I had a draw among the tattoo world, but I sort of foresaw it. I didn't ever know that I would have anybody that would work with me, because in those days I didn't know anybody that was capable or willing to be in that kind of situation. And but I think in the back of my mind, I hope for it to become a sort of an atelier or a focal point for a type of energy of tattooing that was that I just considered myself part of, and that I was furthering from what Jerry and generations before him had started, what the Japanese had been doing. I knew other people would be floating along in the same stream, you know, and joining it, and we'd be helping each other out. And I named it realistic as kind of a goof, because people always would say, you know, they'd look at art and go, oh, that's so realistic. It was kind of like the bourgeois standard. I was going to call it A-OK realistic, because I thought it was real American when I first came back from Japan. I like that corny phrase, A-OK. And then it wasn't until years later I realized that it was like realization. It was for somebody to make something, to realize something about themselves, and to realize something in a concrete sense that had been just, you know, gray matter electricity, and actualize it on their skin.
Ed, without a doubt, has influenced me through not only his style of tattooing, but his style of creating a tattoo through collaboration. Allowing me to do what I do in this studio here has given me a chance to do probably a bit more bizarre, strange, whatever, very untraditional displays with the specialization in custom work versus stock tattooing, traditional designs, which we do upon request, and if that's what the person cares for, we gladly do. Although most people who know Hardy's work knows that he is Mr. Improvisation, and also creates ideas and your own ideas beyond your own imagination. He plugs in and fine-tunes your spoken idea into a truly visual masterpiece. I would say, I guess, maybe I'm prejudiced, but no. Hardy is truly the Michelangelo of today's tattoo world, if there ever was one.
I really got to know Bob Roberts, and Bob was an artist and musician from L.A., another Southern California guy. We had a lot of things in common. We hit it off very well the few days he was up in town getting tattooed by me, but I hadn't seen his work, and I thought, boy, I really like that guy, and a great sense of humor, and he seems like a sharp artist, but he hadn't brought photos of his work with him. And as I say, I was quite busy then. Malone had his own shop going. Bob came to the convention, I saw pictures of his work, and it was stunning. And right away I said, well, you know, you want to work in San Francisco? Let's get together, because I need somebody here. I was starting to feel very put upon, not only in dealing with the work, but in having somebody to just have the feedback with, you know, day to day. So Bob joined me right after that, February '77.
Through my years of getting tattooed, I collected tattoos for 12 years before I started tattooing. So I've spent many more years on, as I say, on the other side of the rail. And as soon as I saw Ed Hardy and his work, it was unmistakable that he was a master at that point. I mean, it was just so obvious, you know, that the tattooing that I had seen, that this was far away above anything, you know. Realistic was very much off the street, appointment only, large body-sized tattoos. And all the artwork is on a much different scale. You know, you just realize that this was like, it had evolved a long way to get there, even in '75.
My intention was to go to San Francisco and open a place that would be on the Japanese idea, that would be appointment only, that would be maybe not even a sign on the street that you would have to hear about, and you would have to come in and be introduced by somebody else, or at least want the work bad enough that you'd come in there, that you wouldn't just be sort of the open, you know, the pit for the elephant to fall in. And so we came to San Francisco and looked around, and thanks to Fran, who has great sense and perseverance in ways that I don't, she convinced me to go whole hog and open what we made Realistic Tattoo Studio. I found this spot on Van Ness. And because I was scared, and I said, you know, nobody had ever done this before. Nobody had opened an appointment shop. Nobody had, the vow was to do every piece different, was to make every piece one of a kind. Even if it was a traditional image of some sort, I would do it in a new way. I would do it in a way that would fit that person and key into what they were all about. We opened this place up, and I was about ready to get a street location and do half of it walk-in and then do appointments 2 or 3 days a week. And Fran said, it'll never work. You know, you're gonna get caught up again in the hours in the street trade, and you just won't have that kind of privacy that you need. And if this doesn't work, you still got the hearts and anchors tucked away in the trunk, and you can trot them out. You know, if this doesn't work, at least you will have tried it.
Hey, what it is? How was the taxi ride?
Oh, not bad, not bad. Made it in one piece. It's going to be a great party today. Everybody's coming in, right?
Right.
I couldn't believe it. We'll have the representation of all the tattoo energy in North America here.
That'll be great to see him, man.
Yeah.